This just means that nobody needs to fear dying in pain. Again, you know, if you've got an illness where you could, suffer really badly towards the end, you don't have to have that fear at the last moment. If somebody knows they can have an assisted death, they can then live happily right up to that point that they need to end it. And this isn't instead of palliative care. This is working alongside palliative care. It's not a choice of one or the other.
This bill is not about, this bill is about terminally ill patients, but it's not strictly about those patients. It can be in many countries, for example in Canada, the criteria for who is eligible for this assisted dying has been expanded, so there's no reason why this is not going to be expanded as well here in this country. That's my worry, is that the vulnerable people who may not want to die will be at risk of losing their lives because of this legislation. That's my worry.
We have fought for so long for this, so many years. My husband was about to go to Switzerland and then suddenly had to be rushed into hospital, and he died a terrible death, which reinforced my belief. So I'm over the moon. I was I was feeling sick this morning, thinking it might be a no.
Really disappointed that our Parliament would vote for legislation that in fact will result in many people dying, in fact. We're actually created legislation to kill. No, there can be no good legislation that does that. There can be no sufficient safeguards in any legislation that will protect people.
It's static.
Yes.
Even my local hospice, you see, is doing research on it, and their research shows a majority need this change of law. Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very happy at this time. And being a district nurse, I did nurse terminally ill who had bad symptom control. Palliative care has its limitations, and because of that, unfortunately, a lot of consultants have been saying everything can be thrown at palliative care and it can improve, but even the best palliative care can't relieve all pain and suffering, and I've seen that in my nursing. I am ecstatic, and for these two patients that I nursed, this is the beginning, and it's got to get through.
My dad recently passed away this summer, and he was really advocating for it, and he would have done it if he could have. Yeah, and to just know that people aren't going to have to spend £15,000 or leave their family to go and do it abroad on their own is just, it should be a choice, you know.
We've lost today, but it was much closer than the Daily Express or Dignity in Dying imagined it would be. Yeah. Much closer, and it's not over. Yeah. And let me say, we're going to bring thousands to this place, and we're going to flood the MPs' inboxes with real stories of real people and of what it really is like to perhaps be frail, to be vulnerable, to say, I want to live, come around me. A truly compassionate society bears with those that are in pain, bears with those that are sick.
So what would you say to an incurable patient that is making that decision? What would you want to say to them?
An incurable patient who's making the decision to end it. I would say that your life is worth living, and that just because you're suffering in excruciating pain, it doesn't mean that there isn't help for you. On our side, we believe that we should invest in much more better quality palliative care, so that you would have the help that you need, so that you can die a peaceful death. But we don't believe that assisted suicide is ever the solution to end suffering.